morning, everyone, and a huge warm welcome to our Ignite session today. My name's Amy Castron. I lead Kantar in the UK, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all. And today is all about focusing on the brands that shape the UK and talking about the things that really make them stand out and different.
I'm Jodie Guillory, and I'm Head of Client Impact at Kantar, and I will be guiding you through this morning's festivities. And I can assure you they're going to be as impactful as my shoulders, and they're pretty big.
So my job today is to set the global context before we go on to look at UK brands specifically with Adele shortly. And to do that, to look at global brands and UK brands, we're going to draw on the power and the depth of BrandZ's vast database. So we're talking about millions of consumer interviews, tens of thousands of unique brands. And Kantar has been building this BrandZ database for a quarter of a century, would you believe? So 25 years of data and insights for us to draw from.
Let's start with the bigger picture trend of the results this year and what you can take away from it. Martin's already told you about the 20% drop in value for the global top 100 year on year, and it's a similar trajectory for the UK top 75, where the total value declined by 14%. And of course, some of the same factors Martin mentioned are the reason why. But uncertainty and volatility aren't the whole story. In this year's Top 75, as ever, we see the power of brands. Not only were consumer attitudes to brands more stable than the fluctuations in the financials, we yet again saw examples of strong brands that were able to navigate the tricky conditions well. Ultimately, despite the market volatility, strong brands continued to offer resilience and insulation for businesses this year. Brands that improved their predisposition share were twice as resilient. Brands that delivered clear net growth in value had 25% stronger predisposition with consumers. And brands that booked category value trends retained $20 billion in value that otherwise would have been lost. And using BrandZ valuations alongside brand equity data, we know that those brands that deliver these three things have 5 times the commercial brand value growth of brands that don't. And this starts to help us understand what's going on. And since 2020, the UK top 75 brands remain ranked 6th on Meaningful. They've moved up 2 places on Salient from 8th to 6th, but have dropped a place for difference from 7th to 8th of 8. The UK top 75 are doing better relatively on mental availability. This is good, this is helpful, but it's not enough. Oxford University's Saïd Business School proved that how different brands are perceived to be is the #1 driver of abnormal market returns. BrandZ has shown us that how different a brand is perceived to be explains 50% of its ability to charge a higher price, and that brands with strong difference have twice the price in elasticity. 3 lessons about difference. Perceived relative difference is what counts. You need to be both different and meaningful to maximise growth. And brands build difference by changing but staying the same.
My job is to talk a little bit about differentiation and some of the major changes I see, and I think Kantar sees, going on in the marketing space. What happened to many marketers like me, a whole generation, I think, is we went off on a chase to find these unique things that would give us differentiation and therefore make our marketing successful. And as we started to examine and scrutinize more and more data on brand perceptions from the market, we found there were 2 or 3 things that were clearly missing. Furthermore, textbooks offer no evidence that differentiation leads to brand growth. Well, maybe the textbooks don't, but Kantar has it. What it shows is, again, salience, distinctiveness is a big driver of demand power, but so too is difference and meaningful difference. They can all be factors in this. And again, we can celebrate salience as being a big driver while not necessarily eliminating difference, because you know what, again, you could have 2 competing ideas in your head at the same time if you're relatively smart. So we're entering a third age of differentiation, in my opinion, partly thanks to Kantar, who've done a really good job of continuing to make the point. And I think we're in an era now of bothism. Let's first make the very important point that these two things are very much not the same thing. A lot of people will tell you they're the same. Again, if we look at wonderful Kantar data, what we will see is over thousands of brands, those that are perceived to be very different are not necessarily perceived to be very salient. So let's define the 2 points. How are they different? Now, because of the great work of Aaron Bogbas, this is a much easier definition for distinctiveness, making your brand easily identified by customers. To use the great Byron Sharp quote, a brand that looks like itself, and of course, coming to mind in buying situations, yeah? So my definition, which ties in beautifully with Kantar's work, and that is a coincidence, we're working from different places, is that differentiation is ensuring your brand is perceived to be relatively different from alternatives on attributes and associations that matter to your target customers, and you can argue that's a lot of the meaningful dimension that Kantar talk about, enough to therefore influence purchase decisions. You have to let go of the idea of some kind of unique shit that's attached to your brand. You have to let go of the idea you can own a specific attribute that no one else gets anywhere near. But here's my key point. You have to get rid of complexity. I want to encourage you to practice the act of bothism, the generosity of and, the idea that we can have both, yeah? We can have the cake, we can eat it as well, and it will make our brand stronger. The Kantar data teaches us this. Aim for relative differentiation. Make choices on the 2 or 3 things where you will be perceived to be relatively stronger to your consumers, and then hold true to those 2 or 3 North Stars. And let's also celebrate the tenacity of Kantar. Throughout this 10 years where everyone's been shitting on differentiation, Kantar had the guts to continue to measure and promote these concepts of meaningful differentiation. And they deserve a shit ton of credit, because that was a brave thing to do when every client was parroting out the idea that differentiation wasn't even possible, never mind valuable.
What I want to do now is do something a little different. So Rebecca, I want to start with you. Octopus has been a fascinating story to watch, and you've been there since the start.
Yeah.
You know, small brand now, massive brand, number 2 in the marketplace, and achieving incredible things. Has differentiation played a role for you? What have you done when it comes to differentiation?
For us, and for me, very specific differentiation is around, well, do I know what differentiation is? I don't know. I just know how I've built my brand, and I've built my brand by obsessing over the product and the experience and what it is that you give to customers. There's a couple of the things that we do as well differently. We have no walls between functions. So, Mark, it's not someone else's job. Looking after customers is not someone else's job. Building the tech is not someone else's job. Everybody's job is everything to build this business. That's absolutely critical as well. And then I think the final thing is iterating at speed. So trying new things really bloody quickly, right?
So for us, differentiation is fundamental, is key, because ultimately our success has been about being always different, but always the same. It started with finding our truth, our difference, and really driving it through consistently through every single touch point.
When Octopus was a young brand, it could be and had to be very differentiated. It had to take an enemy. It had to break rules, and it was easier to break rules.
What does differentiation at its best mean? I'm looking at you, Claire. When you've worked with Cadbury's and we've worked with other things, how would you define it?
I think it's pretty much what I said before, which is like always do what others aren't doing and do it consistently.
What does differentiation really bloody mean?
So it doesn't mean uniqueness, and it doesn't mean something that you own, because I think that's thrown marketers off for a generation. It's making choices on the 2 or 3 things you will relatively win at.
Couple of stories there from personal experience. Thank you, Rebecca and Claire, and Mark's perspectives on all of that as well, which hopefully have given us all some tips and some takeaways so that we can be as breakthrough as possible, that we can understand the power of differentiation.